Hello students, today we are going to discuss prologue of the play. Prologue is something which tells us before action begins about the contents or about the way action is going to develop. So the prologue is something which gives certain extra information about the play that will be enacted after this prologue. This prologue or this play is divided in three parts: prologue, then act first, and act second. So there are three stages of development, or this could be said that 1, 2, and 3 acts of the play. First act is named prologue, second act is something different. It talks about the action, or it talks about the third action. Third is a concluding part of the play. Now this action takes place inside the temple, where the temple is in ruins. Means it is not well kept temple, but the temple which is almost deserted, and the idol has also disappeared from the or deserted the temple. Nobody is there. The image is broken one. So nobody can say whether this temple was of a god or goddesses. Now on that, even door was broken through which the moonlight was seeping in. And at the in the center of this in the center of this in the center of in the center of this temple we find a man sleeping there. A man sleeping there. He uses his fingers to keep open his eyelids, and he is in sad posture. He is not happy. Now he yawns involuntarily and shaking his head addresses to the audience. He says that in coming some hours he may be dead. तो सांगतो की मी आता काही तासामध्ये मरणार आहे. After a long pause, means he takes some pause, and he explains why he is going to die in next hour. So he says that a beggar once cursed him, and he had advised him, or he told him to keep awake at least one night in the month. And if you cannot do that, or if you could not do that, then he will die. Means the condition for his living, त्याच्या जिवंत राहण्याची कंडिशन होती की महिन्यातून एकदा त्याला जागे राहायला पाहिजे. If he couldn't, that would be last night of his living. So this beggar's prophecy he had laughed at loudly. त्यानं हे ज्यावेळी ऐकलं त्यावेळी त्या भिकाऱ्या म्हणजे त्या मेंढिकांकडे बघून तो हसला होता. He thought that this is quite easy. But now, as the days are progressing, he found that it is not that easy to keep awake. आता त्याच्या लक्षात आले की हे एवढं जागं राहण्यासाठी एवढं काय ते सोपं नाही. Now he thought that probably death has made him sleepy. He was actually not aware about the passage of the month. But when he counted that night was the last night of that month, and he must keep awake to survive. And if he can't, then it would be last night of the day. Now, means of last 30 days, experience was terrible. Unknowingly, he was always overtaken by the sleep, and he slept. And now, how this day could be different? Then he recalls that why that beggar cursed him, or what did he do that fate to be deserved by him. आता ते नशीब त्याच्या वाट्याला येण्यासाठी त्यानं असं काय पाप केलेलं होतं. Then the beggar had explained him that you have written plays and you did not stop there. तुम्ही नाटकं लिहिली आणि तुम्ही तिथं थांबला नाही, तर यू स्टेज्ड देम. तुम्ही काय केली? ती नाटकं तुम्ही पुन्हा स्टेज केली. And this is not good. This is not good because people came to watch it and they were good people. They trusted you. But when they trusted you and entered there to be entertained, instead they fell asleep. And in also that small chairs. As you have induced mass sleep, that sleep has come as a curse of death on you. Means you sent so many people to sleep, and those sleeps of different people have rebounded on you as a curse. तू बऱ्याच लोकांना झोपी घालवलंस आणि त्यांची झोप आता तुझ्यावर उलट वार करत आहे. So he realized that how much he could be boring his people, that they fell asleep and he deprived them of their happiness, of their sleep. And he knew that he had very little time, and now he did not want to be seen by his people in that awkward situation, so he had come to the temple. आता इथं त्याचा शेवटचा दिवस होता आणि अशी वाईट पद्धतीनं या व्यक्तीचा मृत्यू होतोय, ही गोष्ट त्याला आपल्या जवळच्या नातेवाईकांना सांगायची नसते, दाखवून द्यायची नसते. The playwright realized now, understood that this might be the last night of his living on the earth. So he has run away from the home and found out a shelter in ruined temple. म्हणून तो त्या मंदिरामध्ये आलेला आहे, भग्न मंदिरामध्ये आलेला. Now he has no name, he has come nameless and empty. And all his pride and ego for writing the plays, entertaining people, ennobling people, all had died out. He said that his family is a family of good writers, but he could not keep the family tradition. He bored people, audience, put them to sleep, and this thing is not good for him. So he decides that he pleases to that absent God that I shall have nothing more to do with themes, plots and stories. I will give out storytelling or all play acting. तो म्हणतो की हे देवा, जर मी जगलो तर सगळं नाटक बिटक लिहायचं मी, कारण मी माझ्या कुटुंबाची जी ट्रॅडिशन आहे ती ट्रॅडिशन पाळू शकलो नाही. ॲट द सेम टाइम ही इज सरप्राइज्ड टू लिसन द साऊंड्स व्हॉइसेस ऑफ सम फिमेल outside of the temple. Now he wonders who could be coming here now. This is very late. But when he spots it, he is surprised because he watches naked lamp flames in which there were no wicks, no lamps, nobody was holding them. जस्ट लॅम्प फ्लेम्स फ्लोटिंग इन द एअर, म्हणजे हवेत तरंगणाऱ्या की ज्याच्यामध्ये वात नाही, काही नाही, परंतु नुसती वात जळताना त्याला दिसत होती. नाव ही हाइड्स बिहाइंड द पिलर अँड लिसन्स व्हॉट these flames are talking among themselves. Now there these flames, flame number third greets the flame number 1. So and she says, what a pleasant surprise, किती धक्कादायक बाब आहे की you are here before us tonight. So flame number 1 replies that she is there because her penny pinching master, he runs short of the oil to light the flame and keep it going. To keep the flame in the home, he needed oil, but that oil, my owner is a penny pincher. अगदी काय म्हणतात त्याला, कवडी कंजूस आहे, आणि तो कवडी कंजूस त्यानं तेल आणलं नव्हतं, त्यामुळे ती तिथली विजली आणि विजली म्हणून मला संधी मिळाली. अँड ॲक्च्युअली he and his wife went to bed early tonight. So I have come before you tonight only. Then flame 2 laughs and she says that my master is a good one. माझा मालक चांगला आहे, and he uses coconut oil. He is prosperous. I live in a prosperous house. He uses coconut oil. He does not use kusbi or peanut oil in the lamps. Unlike the kerosene flame, she tells that she says that she comes to, flame number 1 says that she comes to temple every night, but kerosene flame assures, kerosene flame आता त्यांना खात्री देते की from today I will come to the temple every day. Because for last few days the old woman from the household was sick and she was to keep vigil, she was to keep watch. Now the atmosphere in the home was stinking, it was miserable because of the sickness, but now cup, plague and urine smell ruled there. But that woman has died in the morning, leaving behind the master and his plump and passionate wife. Now they blew off the flame to start making love to each other, and this makes other flames to giggle. Flame number 3 says that, but my owner is different. You are lucky because your master and mistress make love by blowing off the lamp, but my master wants to do it in the light of the lamps, so he keeps me burning all the night. And I am very much stuck by it. When the writer listens this conversation, he remembers that he had heard, त्यांना ऐकलं होतं की lamps are put out in the village, the flames gather in some remote place. When The lamps are put out, the flames gather in some remote place, spend night together gossiping, and this is where they gather. Now, these flames are talking happily, they are gossiping, they are talking with each other, they are showing certain enthusiasm. Flame first tells her that she is late today until the midnight because something happened in her home this day. She replied that she was burning in the household of a old couple. Tonight, when the old woman finished eating, swept and cleaned the floor, then she put away the pots and pans and went to the room in which her husband was sleeping. And what she could see? But a young woman dressed in a rich new sari stepped out of the room. त्याच्या खोलीमधून एक सुंदर तरुणी सुंदर साडीमध्ये त्या खोलीतून निघून गेलेली त्यानं बघितली. And that surprised the mistress. She went mad. Then she woke her husband up and she questioned him, who was that girl? But that old man did know nothing, which started the quarrel, की ज्याच्यामुळे हे भांडण सुरू झालं. Now, all the flames are also surprised. Who this young woman was? Now, the flame tells that the old woman knew the stories, or her mistress, old woman, knew stories and song. But once she was married, she forgot about the story and she did not tell that story to anybody. So on that day, on the afternoon, when she was sleeping and started snoring, ज्यावेळी घोरायला लागली, त्यावेळी that story came out of her mouth and the song came out, who were suffocating within her. तिच्यामध्ये जे इम्प्रिझन होऊन जे गुदमरले गेले होते ते बाहेर निघाले. The women took the usual nap in the afternoon, and on that afternoon it happened. Now that story wound around her a song, and she went into the attic. And at the night, when the old man had gone to sleep, the story took the form of a young woman and a song became a sari. Means that story turned to be a young woman and song became a sari. She wrapped the sari around herself and stepped out. And then only the old women saw it. Thus the story and an old song created a quarrel in the family and in this way the story took revenge on that woman, or she avenged her suffocation. Now, flame 1, the untold story and the song. Flame 1 concludes that if one tries to suppress one story, another takes its place. Now she asks where this story and songs are. How long will they run around in the dark? Then flame 1 tells that she has promised her that story and song will come there. And the story appears in the form of a woman dressed in colorful sari in the temple. She greets enthusiastically to all people, all flames gathered there, and she goes and sits in the corner gloomily. All flames gather around her, अँड दे आस्क, सगळ्या त्या पंथ्या त्याच्या अवतीभोवती गोळा होतात आणि त्याला विचारतात दॅट they listen her. She says that we are here and free the whole night. She tells that nobody has told me to anybody. So these flames assure that we are here and free whole night. आज आम्ही रात्रभर मोकळे आहोत. We will listen to you. But the story tells them that it is of no use because they can't pass on story to another person. When you listen the story, you have to pass it on. And in that passing, the story lives. Otherwise, she will die. So telling story to them, it won't make any difference. ती सांगते की बाबा तुम्हाला गोष्ट सांगायला पाहिजे आणि तुम्हाला सांगण्यामधनं काय फरक का पडत नाही, कारण का यू वोंट टेल टू एनीबडी. द फ्लेम्स एक्सप्रेस देअर इनॅबिलिटी टू डू सो. अँड धिस ऑल कॉन्व्हर्सेशन was being listened by the man from the behind the pillar. He springs up and he says that I will, means he appears and he grabs that story with her wrist. तिच्या हाताला पकडतो. त्यावेळी all flames run helter skelter and he promises the story that I promise you I will listen all the night. Maybe that would help him ward off the sleep and keep him awake. की ज्याच्यामुळं तो त्याची झोप टाळू शकेल and he रात्रभर जागा राहील and it would make him escape the curse of death. Now the story stops struggling. She is relieved that at least there is somebody that he would tell story to others. So now she tries to take off her hand from his grip and tells her that please let me let my hand go so that I can perform the story in front of you. But remember, I have one condition. You can't just listen to the story and leave it at that. You must tell it again to someone else. Then man says that I certainly shall if I live. But the first I must be alive to. That reminds me I have a condition too. आता तिचं मला एक आठवण झाली म्हणून तुला सांगतो की माझी सुद्धा एक कंडिशन आहे. I must not sleep when you are telling the story. If I do, then I die. All your efforts will be wasted. Then story says, of that thing I will assure you. At least I can promise that you will not go to sleep. But then he suddenly remembers that he had just abjured, he had just given up in front of the goddess. I have just now taken a vow, शपथ घेतलेली आहे, not to have anything to do with the themes, plots and acting. या गोष्टीचा माझा काही संबंध राहणार नाही. गोष्ट सांगणं, त्याचे प्लॉट्स, त्याचे ॲक्टिंग करणं याच्याशी माझा काही संबंध नाही. बट इफ आय लिव्ह, आय डोंट वॉन्ट टू risk any more curse from the audience. But he obviously had no choice since the story seems to be interesting. At least she promised him to keep him awake and that will enable him to live. At least ward off the death. And the story and song begins to tell the story of Rani and Appanna. And the prologue ends here. This is the complete content of the prologue. Now, what is significance of this prologue, or how this prologue has come here? This play is written by Girish Karnad, and Girish Karnad has told that this story is based on 2 oral tales which were in Karnataka, and these 2 oral tales were told by A.K. Ramanujan in certain program. Normally, the older women in the family tell the stories after the evening kitchen, when they are being put to the death, when they are put to the bed. Now, adults present on this occasion are women. So, the tales are directed towards the children, and these tales have an. Now, many of these tales talk about the nature of tales. आता ह्यातल्या ज्या बऱ्याचशा गोष्टी आहेत, या गोष्टी त्या गोष्टीच्या स्वरूपाबद्दल बोलतात. मीन्स सम पोएम्स टॉक अबाउट हाऊ टू राईट अ पोएम, लिरिकल बॅलॅड्स स्पेशली, हाऊ पोएम कम्स इन टू बी, कविता कशी जन्माला येते याबद्दल सांग. द स्टोरी ऑफ द फ्लेम्स comments on the paradoxical nature of oral tales in general. That the stories have their own existence. They are independent. So the story has its independent existence, but story cannot exist until somebody tells that story and passes it down to the listener. If we compare status of story, then it is equal to the status of a daughter. Daughter is born in one family and it goes in the other family. Similarly, the story is born in one's mind and then it goes down to the other person from the storytelling by the writer. And this is irony. This is irony in the storytelling. Second thing that means Karnada stresses that these are not leftovers from the past. Means these stories are not leftovers, but they have a definite tradition in the Indian culture. Means the stories are not one month or 2 month old, but they go back to the centuries, and from then onward orally these stories are just passed from generation to generation. म्हणजे पिढ्यानपिढ्या ही गोष्ट खाली पाठवली जाते. Now even in the large cities, Bombay, Calcutta, Madras, where the family planning or the families are small, even here, when the children visit their grandparents, there they learn the stories, and story is passed in this way from generation to generation. Now another one aspect of this play, that this playwright Girish Karnad takes material, number of things from the folk tales. The folk tales are the rich store of symbolical narratives. The stories are there. The story of rabbit and tortoise. This story is there, and this story is symbolic of, or it has a moral. Symbolically, it wants to impart moral to the society, that slow and steady the person if he works. So there are these stories, superficially they may be something different, but they have inner symbolical meaning. Now, these stories are even popular today. सशा आणि कासवाची गोष्ट आज सुद्धा शाळेमध्ये शिक्षक सांगतात. मीन्स these stories are related to the contemporary life, and with their help it tries to teach the children the morals or moral values of the life. So this is the thing which the writer does in the story writing. Now these stories have simplistic structure. Let us consider Sasa and Kasav. आता या गोष्टीचं जे स्ट्रक्चर आहे हे काय फार कॉम्प्लेक्स नाही, गुंतागुंतीचं नाही, सरळ आणि साधं आहे. त्याची सुरुवात सुद्धा एका पारंपरिक पद्धतीने होते. Conventionally, means if you see Mahabharat or all these stories, at the beginning they pray in front of, or they invoke the spirit of knowledge, Lord Ganesha, to help them. Now here also there is certain tradition, convention, and that kind of convention is followed. In here what is there? The reason why the writer failed to keep them awake tonight means because of that he was to face the curse, and this structure is used to begin the story. ही गोष्ट सुरू करण्यासाठी त्या लेखकाची जी म्हणजे मला गोष्ट सांगता येत नाही अशी जी आयरॉनिक भूमिका आहे त्या भूमिकेच्या माध्यमातून कथेचा जन्म होतो. Now here you see the flames from the homes assemble in this and they share the stories. The story of Rani whose husband is enamored by the another woman. Means Apanna is, or the husband of Rani is attracted towards the other woman. So he is reluctant to spend night with his wife. So she goes out. He goes out and visits the home in the afternoon. So this story is told to us, is a very simple story, but symbolically it comments on many things altogether. Now in this story there is a significance that this story uses folktale or mythic patterns, and in this folktale certain characteristic qualities are there. What happens? Snake becomes a man. Quality of human is given to the snake. Sometimes what happens? The quality of certain doing good or potency or inspiring love is given to the root of that tree, a medicinal quality. Okay, so this kind of extraordinary thing happens there, and this extraordinary thing is an magic element. Magic element is also part of such stories. Myths, in myths there are apsaras and just nymphs, and they are a finer thread of our magical world. And here extraordinary ordeals are there. In that Hevadan, the dead bodies, means heads of two different people are exchanged, and the head of one and body of other person, एकाचं डोकं आणि एकाचं शरीर, अशा प्रकारची स्ट्रेंज एक वैशिष्ट्यपूर्ण अशी घटना त्या नाटकामध्ये घडते. अशी एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी घटना यामध्ये घडतात. आणि याच्यामध्ये बघा, फ्लेम्स, दे कम, दे टॉक, the Naga taking Appanna's form, magic roots, स्त्रीला दैवी शक्ती प्राप्त करणं, all these things are part of folk tales, and they are taken in the play by the story. These things are there. When some magic happens, some extraordinary things happen, some adventures are there which are quite unbelievable, but they do not come in our way of understanding the moral of the story. So this complex relationship of the story or the myth and the popular imagination is found there. Through myth, this drama comments on the human mind. Here in this play, psychological complexities of sexual relationship are very delicately, अगदी नाजूकपणे एकमेकांमध्ये गुंफलेले आहेत. क्रेड्युलिटी अँड इंटेलिजन्स, बालिशपणा किंवा काय म्हणतात त्याला, सहजासहजी आणि बुद्धी, ह्या दोन्ही गोष्टी एकमेकाच्या कॉन्फ्लिक्टमध्ये येतात. मीन्स वी in a childlike manner we believe in it. Our intelligence does not come in way. Though the situation is absurd, we accept it. If we compare these stories to the realist drama, then these stories will not exist. But they are not meant to be judged on the grounds of reality. The craft of making up tales, fantasizing to endure mundane lives, is psychological mechanism of the human mind. In the world of folktale, myth, where fiction and reality meet, where the human and the non-human coalesce to emphasize certain truths of life. Folk tales, whatever I have already told, ह्या ज्या लोककथा आहेत, ह्या लोककथेमध्ये वास्तवता आणि कथा किंवा फिक्शन हे एकमेकाच्या जवळ येतात, किंवा ह्युमन आणि नॉन ह्युमन अशा काही गोष्टी एकत्र येतात आणि मानवी जीवनाच्या काही सत्यावर प्रकाश टाकतात. This make-believe rubs shoulders with subliminal truths. Some important truths which are about the life are brought to home by these things, by the writer. So this is the whole thing which happens in the prologue that we have to understand. Actually, I had recorded all these lectures 4-5 days before, but unfortunately something happened and they couldn't be uploaded. They were uploaded, but what happened? The sound was not crossed. So now I have re-recorded it and sent it. Stay home, stay safe.